Hey everybody, welcome to another review. Today I'm going to be reviewing the brand new album by Highly Suspect, As Above, So Below. So this is the fifth record from the American hard rock band who debuted into the hard rock scene with their pretty explosive album Mr. Asylum, which had spawned the big hit Lydia, as well as other pretty well-known tracks like Bloodfeather. And going forward, The Boy Died Wolf was quite a remarkable achievement, continuing the success and having some pretty big stuff like Little One on there. And My Name Is Human, which I forgot existed for a minute, I don't know why, but the band has kind of been going through a decline. I think MCID was a pretty big step back from the refreshing kind of mainstream hard rock sound that had a bit of genericness to it, but also had a bit of that Highly Suspect charm, which kind of made them the band that got quite well known from it in the first place, especially in America. And then the Midnight Demon Club. Oh, what can I say about that? I did not enjoy that in the slightest, and I think a lot of it was just purely awful to listen to. It's not even experimental for the case that it's trying to be different. It's just so experimental and loses a lot of the sound of the lead from Highly Suspect, and even some of the lyrics on there just talking about, I think it was the one song I mentioned about abuse on it, and the way that it was handled was pretty awful. I think the overall record was a huge departure from good ideas into some of the worst writing Highly Suspect have ever put out. Even the choruses were just aggravating to sit through. But As Above, So Below, the new record, this one is a kind of a push back in the right direction from what I can see. I think they play a bit too safe though. Tracks like Summertime Voodoo just doesn't really hook you in much, especially for one of the singles, and also the fact that this was the first track. It's not the most interesting start to the record, especially when you've had a lot stronger ones like Mr. Asylum, the self-titled track, which really pulls you in for a fun experience. I find a lot of the first tracks just to be bland or just not really with it. Like, there's clearly a push for better writing, but I feel like it's kind of a attempt at pushing for some of the earlier stuff, but also something that feels a bit bare bone and dry. And it wasn't until Melatonia I started kind of digging the album a bit. I think the first 5 songs just didn't really have much to hook me with it. Plastic Boxes is probably the best of the 5, but The Blue Eyed Devil was just not a fun song for me. I couldn't really get into this one, especially when it came out. I just thought it was quite tiresome and just felt kind of whatever for me. Suicide Machine I was looking forward to, and this one just kind of ended up again being another alright track. But when you get to Melatonia, this one being a longer one, 7-minute 27 track, it starts off with the first half being a lot slower, and then they kind of build up the energy. I like build up songs, so I think Melatonia's got quite a nice sweet sound to make this one a bit more interesting than the other tracks. But then the second half is just more experimental this way. You have the Reset, which this one is very interesting. That most of it is just instrumentation. There's a bit of vocals, but a lot of it's just instrumentation, like Len Mickey 2, which this one is arguably just entirely instrumental. I like the creativity to kind of give it a push of trying the instrumentals to get it a bit more, I guess, make him so they're not overlooked, just to kind of make him stand out more. But this is not a great attempt, because most of the instrumentals on this record aren't that interesting, so having the instrumentals just be like the main focus of some of the songs doesn't really help here. Run for Your Death, More Pills, I like the heavier energy, kind of reminds me of something from the Mr. Asylum era, which is definitely my favourite of the band, and I kind of like the just overall flow of it. I think the chorus just kind of screams early Highly Suspect, which is just their best period. But then it dips again. I think Champagne at a Funeral and the 8th of October, just again a bit of a snore fest of 2 tracks. The 8th of October was not an interesting single for me. I just found the singles to be so underwhelming with this record, and nothing really pushed the ante for being as intriguing to me. Which is kind of a shame, because there's definitely some interesting ideas, but I find a lot of this album just to be kind of below average, just kind of there. It's nothing in particularly bad, and I think compared to the last 2 records, I definitely would rather listen to this, but I just don't really see myself coming back to it when there's a lot of songs that just didn't really impress me. The singles weren't that interesting, so kind of my, I guess my opinion on it before going into the record wouldn't have been quite as high, but I still wanted to see what the band had to offer when it comes to more of the deep cuts on the record. And yeah, some results are good, others just kind of what I expected from when I listened to the singles. I appreciate it, but I think the band played way too safe with this one, and it just kind of leads into some of the more bland results we had in a while. I mean, the experimental was just too much for the sound, and I feel like here, while it does experiment a bit, it's just not really that interesting. Unlike the other experimental ideas where it's just it's not interesting, it also just isn't that good. But yeah, I can't really say I'm a big fan of this album. I'm going to have to give it a 2 out of 5. I hope you all enjoyed, thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next video.